Banter. Today we're going to be discussing the success of quantum ordinal space, of course, joined with a little bit of banter. This show is on X and on YouTube, so if you want to hop on chat, we can just filter it through and I'll talk about it. Join the conversation with us. Be sure to do all those Twitter, YouTube things like share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. This show is brought to you by Ninja Alerts, who, by the way, hooked up 30 holders with whitelist to Quantum Cats via giveaway. Shout out to that. And we just did a giveaway like within like the last hour. We actually gave an Apple Vision Pro to one of the holders. We have a lot more giveaways going on in the Discord currently right now for pizza holders. So shout out to Pizza Ninjas, of course. Flirts and Tio on Twitter with notifications on. With all that being said, I'd like to do a special thank you to our panelists tonight for joining as always. And Chris, for this is his first time ever on Bitcoin Ordinals Banter. Chris, love to see you here. Chris is a longtime content creator, joined Web3. I don't know exactly when your start date was, but I've been following you since the beginning. It looks like I just dropped for a little bit. Am I still dropped?
No, you're good.
All right. With all that being said, welcome, Chris. How are you doing today, man?
Good, dude. Stoked to be here. I love Tuesdays. Yeah. It's the day for streaming and spaces and all the things. So yeah, man, it's going to be a good chat for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's a little like connection that I don't know if everybody knows. At least I'm assuming just from following you on social media. So we've had, what is his name? He has the Bored Ape PFP, but he's big into ordinals. He hangs out with Butoshi as well. So Butoshi was like on one of our banter shows. Troy was on one of our shows. Now, Chris, don't you like work in the studio like with Troy and Butoshi or like that same studio?
Yeah. So every Thursday I make a 100-mile drive out to Venice Beach, and all the homies out there are like, I didn't know. I just hung out, laughed, had good times and drinks with these guys. And then I was like, oh, you're actually like Ordinals founders and like, you're like a big deal and shit. So like, there's that.
Dude, 100-mile drives, you do this?
Bit God.
Wow. That's awesome, man. So, and they just, it's like a podcast studio like in LA. Is it designed specifically for like Web3 type stuff or like?
Yeah. I mean, you walk in and you're met with a bunch of people having individual conversations about like, you could walk in on the craziest conversations about shit coins and stuff like that. And you're just like hearing things that don't sound like they make sense, but people are in serious conversations with straight faces. There's art on the wall. There's wires everywhere. I think there's 8 cameras set up in the studio, an upper deck with all the sound producing section, all of that. Stocked fridges, so everyone's in there getting drinks. It's like a BYOB thing, but we also have a beer sponsor. So it's like, I don't know.
Awesome.
Is it a
Web3 beer sponsor or is it like Bud Light?
It's a local. I think it's called Dad. I don't know. I forgot the name.
Cool.
They don't sponsor me, so I don't have to remember their name.
Is that it?
What's that?
Is it Happy Dad?
No, it's not Happy Dad. It's like a local Venice Beach company. Kind of tastes like Coors Light, but either way, it's cool that we get free beer, and then there's a 1-hour show, and that's after they do a closed set Ordinals or Dead show. And so there's 2 things that happen every Thursday. 7 p.m. we start the show. It's like a live panel. There's people up there. They're all on SM7B mics, and it's like a back and forth with the people in the audience and the live stream. So people on chat are actually asking questions. Everybody's interacting. We do it for an hour, and then we stop, and then we all go drink. And it's a good time.
I love it, man. That's so awesome. Yeah, it's really cool that they have a whole studio dedicated to that. I don't know, maybe one day Ordinals Banter will up our game and all get together. Is anybody here going to be in ETH Denver? Because I heard there's also going to be an Ord Denver.
I will. I'll be in Denver. The whole Tulsa crew will be coming to Denver at the end of the month.
Heck yeah, I'll be there.
Denver the same week?
I think so. Do you know more details, Charlie?
There is not an official Ord Denver conference, but it's one of those things where there's enough Ordinals people and that you can see it coming. You can see there's going to be, whether it's official or unofficial, there's going to be some Ordinals Denver activity. For the record, that was ETH Denver last year was the first time any of us on the early kind of days of the Ord Accord and Ord team did any kind of actual in-person event. And so that was kind of the first thing we ever did back in the day, and actually where this hat is from. So throwback.
The infamous, I don't know what it was now, but it wasn't like a $10,000 hat. It's probably more than that. Whatever the floor was on that project.
Priceless. I don't know what
priceless.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a one of one for sure. I didn't know that there was going to be something Ord related. So I do have my ticket to ETH Denver. Hadn't booked anything, but you know what? This might be my deciding factor.
Well, I'll be there. I am going to.
Well, there you go. That's it. That's the deciding.
Yeah, that's it. That this is when you know you need to go. I'm going to speak with Trevor. You know, this is like unofficial, but I'm going to try to speak with him about doing some type of pizza party or something while we're there. At minimum. I already booked my ticket and to ETH Denver and to I got my flights and stuff. Which, by the way, if you haven't got it yet, it's literally like you can do this if you're like even like somewhat familiar with like how like blockchain and staking work. You don't have to pay for your ticket. Sorry, my kid's crying in the background. You don't have to pay for your ticket. You can just you basically like connect to the like ETH Denver, whatever it's called, and you stake the token they give you, and it's a free ticket. It waives like a $500 fee. So there's some alpha for you instead of paying $500+ for the conference. Just go stake that and join the DAO.
Interesting.
Yeah, shout
absolutely.
out Spork DAO for funding everybody's ETH Denver tickets this year.
Yes, thank you so much, Charlie, for saying the name. I almost said pork, which would have been 1,000,000%
I
different.
think they give you
no,
a
it's
pass.
not close enough because Polly just dropped like a pork something token. It would have been so far off of of Spork. I didn't want to say the wrong thing, but yeah, thanks for saying that. So lots of cool things happening around ETH Denver for sure. We got to talk about. I'm gonna go ahead and move on a little bit. I still got my cat up here. The Quantum Cats. Okay, we have two team captains with us tonight. I don't know, Chris and Bell, if you guys knew, but Witters and Charlie were actually Team Dead and Team Alive for the campaign for Quantum. I'm gonna call it a campaign, but campaign for Quantum Cats. Extremely successful, man. I think most got sold in the whitelist. There was 300 something percent, and all of Chris's boys got the remaining supply. I got the remaining supply, and I'm joking, give him a hard time. And yeah, so it's been crushing it, absolutely crushing it. How do you guys feel as team captains? Or I don't know if Chris and Bella, if you guys participate in anything, leading up to the sellout and like what's going on secondary right now.
Well, okay.
For me, because I wasn't able to do the public mint and I did not have a whitelist. So congratulations. I am so freaking excited and so happy for you guys.
I have not looked today. So like I have been drawing all day. I haven't looked up. Has there been secondary activity?
A little bit.
They hit secondary about 3 p.m. Eastern today. They got distributed. You can see on Magic, and there's been some volume. Witters, what do you think it? Do you think it went up or down? Because you didn't look. Where do you think it is?
Right. I mean, it's like it's Taproot, so up significantly. What's the floor right now?
I already told you 0.001.
Damn, we went down.
I'll pull it up and put it on screen. Bella, I do want to ask before I pull it up. Did you enter our ninja giveaway when we gave away 30? Okay, cool. Just didn't strike on that. On the quest, I know it was like a time thing. I took out a morning to do it. And I thought that it was going to be at like midnight that it was going to end. I just always get like I don't know what happened, but whatever. I thought it was going to end at midnight. And I ended up having to do like all my stuff in like 2 hours. It was pretty stressful. But I think the way it worked out is if you pretty much did the quest and like didn't cheat, you probably had a fair chance of actually getting it. Because, my video was.
Yeah, so that was like a huge thing. Whenever we were grading, it was so easy to tell, A, if you copied somebody else, B, if you used Chat GPT, and then C, like if you just didn't try it all. If you just, put forth and even some of those like really got whitelist spots. At least they checked off a box. And then it was really, really cool too to see the video content on either side, whether it was like the informational side or the other side. So that was sick to see. And then a lot of people got 2 whitelists because they entered like the Ninja or the OMB or like whatever raffle, and so they got both, and that's amazing.
Here we are, Witters. Here we are. 0.271
Damn.
floor right now. For the record, that's like probably 12-ish grand in USD terms. And the mint was 0.1, so that's almost 3x over mint. I'm going to be honest, it kind of blew my expectations out the water. I thought it was eventually going to get here. Like when I say eventually, like even like within like a month or something. I didn't think it was going to come out the gate with like, I mean, they had like 50 Bitcoin volume and like the first, like, I don't know how, like it just like immediately just poured in. I was thinking like 1.5 to 2 or 0.15 to like 0.2, like on the low end. But for it to just like jump up to 0.27 just like this quickly, I was pretty surprised. And I mean, there's 11 buys going right now as we're speaking. So,
So
yeah, how do you
Charlie, there's a lot of live on the floor. How does that make you feel?
feel?
I don't know. This is your first time looking at it, so there could be a lot more dead just above that. Who knows?
I
I
mean,
think I can filter like dead and alive floor. I should be better at this, but
They may have traits.
yeah, they definitely do. I saw them earlier, but I think I was viewing it on mobile. I'll find. Just bear with me. If I click enough things, it's gonna work for one of them. All right.
Okay, so
Yes.
here's the numbers. Dead, 0.273 floor versus alive, which is 0.2749 floor. So technically, the alive floor is higher than the dead floor. I think that's the real metric to look for.
Oh
is it?
yeah. No. Yeah. The live floor is like 0.001 over the dead floor. So yeah, Charles right.
Yeah, and I will make this point. So I think what's actually happening underneath these cats is still kind of complicated for most people to understand. We would call this an evolving inscription. So we are looking at, I think, 7 or 8 of what are 30 traits or layers, which will be evolved over an unknown duration. So these cats can morph into different types of cats, different things entirely. We don't know yet. We don't know if this is something that will happen over the next week or the next 10 years. So this is a really interesting mechanic, which I think has kind of been designed and programmed by the wizards for a long time. So just think of it, there are 4 times more traits which have yet to be revealed than currently exist. That's one way to think about it.
Which it makes me incredibly bullish. Like if you were around whenever Jack Busher was doing, that evolving NFT, uh, it it's just like a nice little floor like pump every evolution. So Nolish was on. We were talking to Far about just like designing the quantum cats, and Nolish like looked through, and there was like I think 80 pre-signed transactions, or like more. I don't know. Maybe it was 50. I don't know, but still, that's a large number. And I think that I might have started some misinformation that they just evolve into wizards. Do we have any confirmation on that?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's really cool. So the pre-signed transaction, the way you do recursive inscriptions is you call the inscription ID of another inscription as the layer. But if that inscription ID doesn't exist yet, because that inscription hasn't been revealed yet, that trait or that layer doesn't show up on the cat. The way inscription IDs are derived is actually from the transaction ID. And the way Bitcoin works is you can create and sign a transaction, and that gives you a transaction ID. But if you don't send that transaction, the Bitcoin node network does not see that. So you can basically sign all these transactions and create all these layers and prove that they will exist. And at some point in the future, you can release or broadcast those transactions, which then unlock the future traits. So it's a really interesting mechanic underneath these cats, which I don't think a lot of people really understand yet because it deals in some kind of obscure stuff in Bitcoin and ordinals. But this is, I think, one of those gifts that keeps on giving. So, like, be careful thinking that you're buying a trait that's super rare because it might not be the most rare and they might flip. Maybe the common looking cat turns into the most rare cat. Who knows?
Yeah, I saw that on the like pretty much right when it dropped on Magic Eden, I saw some like what looked rare selling for like half a Bitcoin, and I was like, man, I don't know, like what if it evolves into like a lesser rare one? It kind of got me a little skeptical,
Who knows?
but
There's no telling.
the concept's really cool. Cats are cool. Big success. I mean, I figured like Taproots are involved. You know, it's gonna turn to gold, and that's kind of what it's looking like right now. Chris, did you have any exposure? I know you like you're. I've been following you for a while now, and I know you were getting an eighth entities, and I saw you dabbling into Bitcoin Ordinals.
Yeah, I mean the thought was great when I started seeing, like Butoshi and and you and Trevor with the whole like ways to get whitelist for the cats. My only thing is that like I'm not much of a gambler, and for me, if I've got 4K burning a hole in my pocket, it's gonna be like an A7S III camera and a nice G Master lens, or I'll pick up the Apple Vision Pro or something like that and start making content on that. This I was just excited to see everybody else like making moves and being like the speculation on this was so big. Like the ramping up to it was like it was kind of one of those things that we've seen this so many times in the space. You almost never meet the hype, right? Like it ramps up. And like the best time to be involved in anything is like right before the drop. And then you dump that shit because otherwise the retracement goes down and then like oh my God, I could have this, could have that. This was not that. So I'm pumped for everybody who did the 2.5x thing. Like that investment of a camera could have been a $12,000 return, and then you get the camera and you got 10 G's in your pocket. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Could be, but I more gamble on myself than on anybody else, and so
That's a good
it's just one of
line.
those moves I wouldn't have done. You know what I mean? Cool though.
Super fair. Yeah, no, definitely. It was. I mean, $4,000 is a lot, man. Like that's an expensive mint, and that's like I think one of the significances of like how fast it sold out. Like, even when I first heard it, I was like, ooh, like you can charge whatever you want for your mint. I don't care. I wonder if they're gonna have a hard time selling. I knew they would, but they're still in the back of my head. Like if I'm spending $4,000, like people are gonna spend that and then want to spend even more on that. As soon as they sold out extremely quickly, like seconds in public, I said, this thing's gonna rip. Like I knew it'll rip tomorrow, and that's exactly what it did. But yeah, I mean, I like the philosophy of like investing in yourself, and I see you've been doing that, man. Like running, you've been doing a lot of spaces, been like a lot more involved, like in Web3. You work for Espresso Shot, right? With Sansa and them. Do that
Yeah,
stuff.
Sansa, he was running his spaces and not doing any content, not doing anything outside of just running the morning show. And so I got involved almost a year ago now, and have been kind of the like producer behind the scenes. That's like, you guys need to live stream. You need to do this. You need to do that. And kicking and screaming, I have brought them to the point where now they're down. To do this stuff. It's like hats off to anybody who shows up in Web3 doing live streams and isn't waiting until Elon rolls out the red carpet so that you can like, no, there's video on spaces we keep hearing. But I'm like, you don't have to wait. You can do it now. So, I mean, anytime anybody's doing live streams, they got my support for sure.
That's what we're doing right now. We're live on X. Trevor just jumped in chat, and we're live on YouTube. So we're prepared for that day. We're not waiting around for it. So that's pretty cool. Chris, I'm sure you know this, but here's a little bit of alpha peanut. This is still gambling, absolutely, probably more so than you would be. I know you originally had a Ninja. I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask if you still have your Ninja.
I do.
But if you okay, sweet. If you have Bitcoin Ordinals, not just Ninjas, there just happen to be one of them on there. You can actually take a loan out against your Ninja. I've done that on several occasions to like help. That way you're not like pulling out of your pocket to like send Bitcoin all these different places, and you immediately have that liquidity unlock. And if you think it's going to be a good flip, you can flip it and then pay back the loan, and the interest is like pretty irrelevant. Like it's like less than 3% for 16 days or whatever. But I don't know, this whole like NFT fi stuff, which now Bitcoin Ordinals is like really cool. When I started like unraveling it for me, I was like, man, that's like a superpower. But again, it's still kind of gambling as far as like you're betting that the loan you're taking out right now you're going to make more in a few weeks than you would if like you paid it back.
No, I've heard you talk about that. I actually think for the first time it made sense, specifically coming from you talking about you taking a loan on your Ninja and doing all that. There's a lot of things in the space that you hear people talk about the moves that they're making, but they only speak in a way that, like, if you know how to do the thing that they're talking about, you can follow along. But for everybody else, it's like way over their head. So, I think education in the space is like, it's weird because on one hand, it's super needed, but on the other hand, the people that know are happy that they're the only ones that know. I'm not much of a gatekeeper. I'm kind of like, tell me anything that's valuable. I'm telling everybody. So I'm a little bit of a a gamble to like what you teach me. Just make sure you're only down to teach me stuff you want other people to know, because that's my whole game.
I love that, man. I love that. So there's been go ahead, Witters.
Oh no, it was me.
Or Belle, sorry.
Or were you gonna say something, Witters?
No, you go first and then I'll go after.
That DeFi component of it is getting really interesting, and especially because it's like cross chain now. I don't know if you've tapped into the Solana side of it, but I started doing loans on Sharky.
Are they back up now?
Sharky is out
I'm just
there
kidding.
too.
Too soon.
I know. I was like, what's Solana, the chain itself, because it went down.
Oh, went back up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
right?
low blowing,
Yeah,
But
no,
Sharky.
6 a.m. today, I get a text message. Solana's been down for 2 hours, and I was like, well, RIP for all of our bags, because here we are, last couple of months trying to completely go into Solana, believing we're safe now. It hasn't gone down in a couple of months. Like, I've hosted spaces before recently with people who didn't want to gamble on Solana, but now they're like, but from what I understand, it hasn't gone down now, so it seems safe. Just when you think, right, that it's safe, it happens. But anyway, I've been messing around with Sharkify on Solana, and then there's the Liquidium on Bitcoin, and then there's the other, the traditional ones on Ethereum. So it's from the two different perspectives. Chris, I didn't see the entire thing, but I think that like I only heard the beginning of it or read the beginning of it. When you're trying to buy a house, right? You're trying to buy a house and you can't. And so many content creators that are full-time Web3 end up in that same situation where they're trying to purchase real estate, and you want to use what you already have, because a lot of us are just full-time crypto, and receiving payments in crypto. Banks don't look at that as actual payments. Banks don't care. And so to them, you're, just another Joe off any type of block and unable to get a loan. And it's freaking revolutionary. It really is. The capability to be able to do it peer-to-peer. G-Money, did you see that $1 million loan that he got?
$1 million loan on like
$1 million loan.
Yeah, that was cool because it's trait based too. Because like obviously the CryptoPunks aren't worth that much, but because his is so special, which makes me think maybe one day that we'll be able to loan higher amounts towards like special sats. Like if you have rare sats, maybe that'd be a higher loan amount and everything like that. But I don't want to take away from that. Yeah, but yeah, I saw that was crazy. Crazy,
and even crazier is for a 6-month loan.
Yeah,
wow,
solid 180 days. Yeah, pretty good rate.
Yeah, no, it's wild. The opportunities that one can tap into with NFTFi and DeFi is just, I don't even think we understand it yet.
Can you make $1 million, or if you were handed $1 million, could you make that his total owed amount is going to be $69,000 after 180 days? Could you make over $69,000 if somebody hands you $1 million in 180 days? That's like, that's one of the things you have to consider when doing it. And I mean, $1 million is a lot of money.
$1 million is a lot of money, but consider what happened today, right? How many times per day do we see successful mints, whether it be PFPs, a collection, a theory, whatever blockchain you choose. I mean, especially on Bitcoin, obviously the price is going to go higher. But even on art, all the art drops that happen of 101 and the special type of the ones that Rarible are having right now with Jimena Buenavida and with Clear Silver, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, $69,000 on a drop in one day. It's not unheard of. So it's possible.
Yeah, he could have got like 9 cats and paid back the loan.
Exactly.
He could have minted 9 cats, pay back the loan, whatever the price is right now. Yeah.
To
Wow.
someone outside of Web3, it's insane, right? $1 million
Yeah.
loan, have to pay back 70K. In Web3, it can happen.
It's also like, obviously you're losing something special to you and something very valuable, but like at the end of the day, you're not losing your house. Like your house isn't collateral,
Right.
or like for now, I'm trying to buy a property and it's got like so many, like I basically it's what's it called? Non-financeable. So I might have to put my coffee shop as collateral to buy this property, which is like not the best feeling in the world. So it's just like, I don't know. It's crazy, but
Yeah.
Well, so okay. I right now don't have anything. Well, I don't need, and this is going to sound like super bratty, but I don't.
you got
need,
3 OMBs. You don't need anything.
I don't need money, and I would never risk my OMBs. I wouldn't risk my quantum cats. In total, like I have 4 kitty cats. And the only thing with like DeFi, but I'm also not that person. Like everything that I own. Like I am not in debt. And so I'm just like not the person that would give out. If we learned anything from the like 2008 and now with China and Evergrande or however you say that name, like you don't go and get loans. Like if you
Then
can't afford it, then just
and
don't
you can
do
be the
it.
lender in the situation. Like you could be the one that says like,
Yeah, come on.
I don't think, no, I mean, you make interest off of this. And if they default, you get a free cat. So it's like, if in your head, you're like, these cats are not going to go below this price. So as long as I loan this, then I'll be in the green. And you know what? Worst case scenario, if they do default, then you're just telling yourself, I would be willing to buy a cat for this price that they defaulted at. If they did go below that price, now you're making interest off of your Bitcoin, you're making more Bitcoin, and they might default, and you might get a free ordinal out of it.
Well, and I don't have the liquid. I have the assets. I don't have the liquid. And that's a huge disclaimer in everything that I say and do, because like I won't sell. I probably won't ever sell. I mean, everybody has their price, but like I don't see like, as long as I don't go less than what I meant it for, I don't see myself, unless we're like 1 mil.
But it's super sweet though, that if you wanted to, you can go and lend those or take a loan out against them, and then use that money, technically, go out and flip something else and then repay it.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is use that loan to come get you, Belle, and then we just rage for 3 days, have no idea what is up or down or if we exist as humans, and then I won't have anything to pay back. Like, I'm a gambling addict. Like, I can't. It's just like a hard stop for me.
I get it. It's not for everybody. It's just a cool superpower that's like now on Bitcoin Ordinals. I thought was like worth mentioning. Charlie, I gotta know what's up, man. You haven't been on the show in a bit. I know you meant basically everything in Ordinals. You're always on the pulse to some degree. What's up with what you excited about in Bitcoin Ordinals right now?
What am I excited about? I think like people, what's funny is like, I think people think that I track these projects way more than I do. I'm quite disconnected from like the status of my portfolio, but I will say just the thing I'm kind of excited about after Cats is the Bitcoin Burials, kind of an OG collection, same artist as Frogs. low entry price. They're doing another round of stuff, and then they had some cool merch that actually dropped that I got. So I got a cool hoodie. I don't know.
What was
That's
the
just
name?
like a Bitcoin Burials. It's a really cool
Burials.
project, which
Oh
actually
yeah,
takes,
yeah. We were partner. Ninja Alerts was partner with Bitcoin Burials.
the Burials are cool. It's an OG collection, and oh yeah, I see. Witter says Neuro Realm. That's Neuro, not a Hala of the Cypherpunk Ghosts. Neuro
Okay.
has a really cool thing where he's developed a kind of a brain activity scanner that he uses and routes into kind of an algorithmic visualizer that he then projects onto this mask, like these like 3D masks, and from that generates these kind of PFP like brain activity algorithmically generated art. There's like a lot of stuff, and I could keep going. I mean, Donnie's always got something coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Nero's going to be on the
reforms.
show tomorrow
Oh,
on
Yeah.
my show. If you know, you know. Yeah, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to dive deep into it. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
he's the guy.
Heck yeah. So this was the same guy that was a different one. Where can I find Neural Realm at? That sounds super interesting. I would like to pull that up for people to see.
Neuro. Okay, so I went to this is the only reason why I even like met Neuro or like anything. I went to the Miami, like it was like a house party. But it was just like this massive ass people on Bitcoin just do things way differently than on ETH. Like it was just a wild thing. And so I met Neuro, and then like and that was like his party. And then I've since like actually researched the people that I met, and homie is built different. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just like very intentional, very thought provoking. A lot of it had to do with like his brother, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
There's I'm not going to speak on that because that's like deeply personal, but it's like a really dope project. So like that's coming out. Skrillex inscribed 100 of his pieces, and then so Sanj tweeted about somebody that is inscribing a collection that reveals on like by block. So it's block dependent reveal. And nobody knows who that is yet. But it's just an interesting reveal mechanism. The things that people are doing on Bitcoin every day just surprises me.
So Neuro was on NFA 2 weeks ago, I think. 2 weeks ago.
You can go and shout out what that is too, Belle.
Yeah, Not
Those are
Financial
the-
Advice is our show that I host with Flame and with Trevor. We co-host it with NFT Now, and we host it every Thursday evening at 5:30. Hold on, I gotta change the time. 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because that's 5:30 for me. That's how I remember it. 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6:30 p.m. for all of the Easterners. NFT Now, along with sponsored by Ninja Alerts, and we're the three co-hosts. So every week we dive into a lot of ordinal talk, but it's very much, across all of the blockchains. Last week was about music, and we actually had like this live concert with 3 different artists that sang for us, and that was really cool. The week before that, I think that's what we talked about. Yeah.
Violetta's awesome. Was that?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I know Violetta has made a pretty strong presence in ordinals and just also in just the Web3 space. This other guy, was he there? I've really enjoyed his stuff lately. Do you guys know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He did an amazing Taproot Wizard video for the Quantum Cats.
Yeah.
He did a really good Quantum Cat song. Like,
He did an
awesome.
amazing job. Yeah. Like
Did he get a free cat for that?
I'd have to look. I don't know.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Neuro was on there. Let me just, because I don't know if you guys know this, but it blew me away. So Neuro was on there, and he spoke about how it's a lot of it is in remembrance to his brother, that he took the scans of his old scans of his late brother and turned that into art and into the neurodivergence kind of deal of it, right? And so that's what the project is about, converging it into art. And through that process, he also got the scans of Casey Rodermore, which I think is super cool. And he hasn't done anything with it, but it's there, and that's part of what he has created into the project. So he is on another level.
That's awesome.
He's absolutely built different, and I have chill bumps. And if you don't, then I can't.
Yeah, I went to one Bitcoin party. You're talking about they're being built different, and like people are getting like tattoos when you walk into the right. Like there's like a tattoo table, and I'm like, I'm from the South. Like we have parties, but we don't have like those parties. It's like like people getting tattoos, and I feel like there's like some other wild stuff going on. It was very professional though. Like there's a bunch of art there, like all over the walls and stuff like that. And I think it was actually like it was either a Stacks party. It might have been a Stacks party. I don't remember.
It was a Stacks and Gamma party. I was there too, Chris. I didn't know that you were there. That was
yeah.
One.
It was in Austin, Texas at
the Consensus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice one.
Dang, I didn't. Well, I'll see you at ETH Denver.
Yes, you will. Yeah.
Or Denver. But yeah, I didn't know you were there either, Charlie. I should have guessed. I'm on our team at Bitcoin Frontier Fund there for the first time, and hung out with Trevor when I was there, of course. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I went to Austin, didn't know that either of you were there.
Yeah, Austin's actually nice, like a 6-hour drive.
Yeah,
for me, so it's not too bad.
It's 2 hours for me. So next time let me know.
That'll be in Nashville for me. So I'm so excited that there's something actually close.
That's awesome.
You're all going, right?
Probably not. No. I'm at 8th Denver.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I'll go to Nashville. My wife and I have a condo in Nashville, and we go there every other month for business as well. So
isn't Violetta out there too?
Yes, she is. She's helping me get a wall, and so she'll be like the musical part of the AR, and I literally cannot wait. That's the one thing that I'm the most excited about this year.
When is it?
Like June?
Okay, summer. Cool.
Yep. June. It's like the big Bitcoin conference, and they moved it from Miami to Nashville. Thank God. Miami is fun. Miami's like a great place to have it 1 year, but year after year, Miami just kind of gets a little tiring. I want to see something different.
It's so much, and Nashville is so like close and like easy, like very easily to like navigate. I think that is the best move.
These IRL conferences are the alpha. If you haven't been to any, I would highly recommend it. Chris, I know you've been getting connected with going to LA. Have you been to any like Web3 related conferences yet? Or do you have any?
Yeah, dude. So 2022, I was just drunk at NFT places all year. Like I went to New York and Austin and Vegas, and I got flown out because of NFTs. Right after NFT LA, I got asked if I wanted to go hunting alligators with crossbows on those like crazy boats, the like pontoon boat things.
And you did, please.
So I did that. That was fantastic. There was no crossbows, but I was brought out to film it. So I filmed a lot in 2022. 2023, I think because I found IRL Alpha in LA, I'm just so spoiled now that I have all of the experience of the IRL event, but it's weekly and there's like a rotating panel. So I always get to meet new people, spend extra time with like at least one person individually. And that's been really good. The only big trip that I went to last year was Hong Kong. So that was amazing. So this year I think depending on where your focus is at, there's different IRL events that, they're more focused on one thing or the other. So like with Ordinals, or anything that's like BRC20 related or anything like that, like there's going to be different events that probably are not going to be in LA. So I'll want to make my way out to those. Other than that, if it's just going to be like hang out, drink with your friends, and yell at each other because the music's a little too loud and get each other sick and all that, I do that every week. So
It's so
I'm
awesome,
good on
man.
that.
Yeah, what a treat to have. I have like nobody in my state that like even cares about crypto, much less like micro niches like within crypto.
So I have like a really cool conference, and I'm not just saying that because it's in my state, but Duke University puts on the best. I mean, they outsource all of like actual like mega minds, including myself. No. But last year I went and spoke, and the oh man, you just feel like you're in the Illuminati, and it's only for a day. Like it's not like a multi-day thing. Um and you get connected to so many different people. Who's the CEO of Consensus? Um Oh, man, I can't anyway, just like the biggest players, I went up to most of these people and I was like, this is my Twitter, you know what you do. Like, this is my Twitter, like whatever, and they're like, I'm not on Twitter. Like they're that echelon of people. Like they don't give a rat's behind what any kind of social media. They've already just like made it. And it's a wild and delicious like brain sandwich. Would probably be my best way to describe it.
Charlie got the alpha on the name you're thinking of. This is Joe Lubin.
Yeah, Lubin. He's co-founder of Ethereum with the Vitalik,
Okay.
Yes.
and the largest holder of Ethereum.
Yes. He was there. God, it was just like, oh my, I can't describe to you the feeling that it was like to be in the same room. And because it's like so small, and like last year was the first year, so it was just like a close knit like group. I imagined that it would get just like a smidge bigger, but at the same time, it won't be what it's like at these other conferences. And they do some hella reaching out. So something to keep in mind.
Heck yeah, that's awesome. So, Chris, I do want to ask you some content creation questions, like when it comes to like NFTs, Bitcoin Ordinals, and IP. I see you kind of like every once in a while, I see you like with a Mizuki PFP. Sometimes I'll see you with yourself. Sometimes whatever it is. What's your thoughts on like creating your brand around like Web3 IP,
Yeah, it's
or
a great
at least
question.
or at least integrating the IP into your brand?
So I actually give people kind of like a cautionary tale on this one. I think there's like a social interaction thing that people go through in Web3 where they come in through one project, and then it's almost like they're going through, and instead of going on to the next project, they just loop and they just stay in that first group. And then sometimes they stay in there way too long. And sometimes those things go to zero because a lot of them go to zero. And so if you've built your IP, if you built your brand recognition and all of that in that first little bubble, like, you don't really get to expand and go on. So the tribalism can be kind of hindering, in my opinion. I think you can associate with like one group of people because it's safe there. But the reality is like, you're gonna vibe with people that are in all these different bubbles, right? And so I think the move to make if you're trying to grow your IP or grow your IP is kind of like it's my face, right? So that's why I don't give my PFP to anybody else because that's my brand. You see me in the videos, you see me at a conference. It's this guy. My name's Chris D. I'm not like, I don't know, Pirate Snatcher 69. Like that's just not, I would never walk up and tell you that's who I am. I'm Chris here and there and on the internet and in person. So I think that like navigating through those different bubbles, it's a good move to make friends on the way, help people that are attached to this bubble, and then keep on moving and find your kind of group. And I don't think that your group has to be inside of a bubble. I think it's a collection of all the people across the space. because there's like an exponential reach out from that. And so I think as anybody who comes through and they're like, I'm going to be like the rapper of this bubble. It's like, cool, but like, I hope that bubble stays there, because otherwise you're going to be the rapper of nothing, you know? So I do think that it can be used to kind of like propel you from one thing to the next. And like a lot of it's just providing value wherever you go, so that when people think about that thing that you want to be known for, they think of you. And if that exists through, and it's you've like weaved all the way through the space, like then you're doing a good job for your brand. Like that's a way of building your individual IP as you work your way through different blockchains, through different projects, like all this stuff. Don't be a whore. Don't say everything's good, but find where you vibe, and help the people along the way. And like you'll get a disproportionate amount of opportunity, so that you can monetize the opportunity as opposed to monetizing all those little bubbles. So that's my take.
That's good, man. That's really good.
Damn, mic drop.
I know. He just hosted a Twitter space on like, should you have a $1,500 soundboard? For, you know, for
I
Twitter
do.
Spaces?
I do,
too.
and it
Yeah,
works
we
like
all got
half
it.
the time, and I don't know how to use most of it.
I was
There
going to
needs
say,
to be a soundboard for
I do
all.
have a soundboard. I don't have a whole lot. I got the basics. I don't know if you guys can hear that. So there's your applause. What was the consensus? Do you need a $3,000 or $1,500 soundboard to host successful Twitter Spaces?
Not unless you want to sound crazy.
So that's the case. Yeah, you get the sound changer and all that. But in general, an iPhone that you plug in the wired headset, you're gonna sound fantastic on Spaces, but you're gonna sound like dog shit on live streams. So you just got to know where's your audience at, and show up for them wherever. Like elevate it as much as you need to. I think your average person's not gonna max out their capabilities of a phone and what they already have. So like, is that going to supercharge them if they get all the expensive, like fancy gear? No, they're just going to suck as much as they already did, but they'll have way cooler stuff. So I think get as good as you can with whatever you got, and then up level when you can actually do it. And you can use that as an incentive for somebody that wants to work with you, because you're doing so good with just your phone or whatever. You just let them know, hey, I really need to upgrade all my stuff, and you want me for this project. How about you just help me upgrade my stuff, and I'll do the project with you, and we'll both win from it. Because that's going to go a lot longer and make a stronger bond than just somebody flips out some money and is like, all right, here you go, hooker, do what I want. You know, like you get treated bad as a content creator sometimes when people throw money at you. The second that they've got that money in your account, they're like, okay, well, now that I own you, do all of this stuff because I said so. And I don't follow
Dude,
that at all.
I am having deja vu. I don't know if like I've heard you say that before, or this is actual. Well, also your brain makes you think you're having deja vu when really it just stopped, and it's creating a memory that hasn't existed yet. Anyway, that's not important. What I'm trying to say is when you come on live streams like this, you can tell like a huge difference in who has like equipment that matches the host and who doesn't. Like I was just on the BitBoy, or not, it's not BitBoy anymore, but whatever, like the HIP network. And I did not come to audio check because I was like, no, I got this. Like, I know what I'm doing. Nope. Then I show up. I've muted myself. B, it's coming out of my desktop, and there's so many different factors. And then I'm immediately, no matter who's listening, I'm immediately written off just for that very fact. And it's just audio. It's like she can't even work a computer. Like why would I ever listen to her? You know what I mean? Like I feel like girls have it a little bit different than dudes, but that was the general sentiment because I read the comments.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, people are really judgy. And I mean, let's face it, if you're in audio and you're not showing up and nobody sees all your nonverbal communication, they just hear your voice. That's so flat in comparison to how it is in real life. you can't really pick up much of somebody's, like, I'm not like an energy guy, but I get it. You know what I mean? Some people just have this charisma or this kind of vibe about them. And you can't really bring that much with only your voice, but all you can do is kind of elevate the experience that they get with the audio. So if you can max that out, that actually does translate to every other form of content. So if your audio is good, like, you're pretty set, because even if your video kind of sucks, but your audio is on point, people can still at least get all that extra, like, I don't know, all they hear you better and it sounds a little bit more commanding and all of that. But if you come through and you got shit audio, like, even if you've got some 8K crystal clear, beautiful screen, like, people can't do it. They can't watch it. So, like, having audio, I mean, we came into this in the backstage before we started, and I had to click one button because it was echoing back and forth, right? Thank God echo cancellation exists, and I clicked the one button and now we're good. But, like, if that was the point, and I have all the cool camera and I have all this, but you guys could hear yourself double every time I was unmuted, it'd be like, get this guy out of here. He needs to go. You know, it's just
Yeah,
how it
it's
goes.
just distracting. Okay, so I have one more question, like a follow-up question. And you and Chris both have headphones. And well, I'd like Belle and Charlie. Like, why headphones? Like, I'm on the same like similar setup, but I don't need headphones. Is it just to like be focused? Like, if you had outside distractions, like why headphones?
I mean, my personal answer, I hate the headphones. I don't want to. I'd much rather just rock some AirPods or something like that. But the truth is, if you guys are speaking and my speakers have your audio coming out at me, my mic is going to pick that up and then it's going to create that loop. It can just really, like, mess up the experience for other people. The other thing too is that, like, I can dial in how much I hear myself and how much you guys can hear me. So I could turn up and down my mic and up and down my headphones independently of each other. And then also, like, I'm a bozo and I like to play with voice changers, and I want to hear how I sound. Because if I didn't have the headphones and I turn on, like, the silly, you know, high pitched voice or whatever, I can't even hear what I sound like because it's going through the mic into the soundboard and out to you. And then I'm, like, the only one who doesn't get to experience it. So I have a setup where I can just go to AirPods, but then I miss out on hearing myself. And I feel like it kind of keeps you, like, you know what you sound like. So it's keeping you on point. And I think for me, it just helps. But these things are uncomfortable and I hate them. So there's that.
Personal preference. In my case, both my wife and I have a studio office here, and we are on conference calls all day, so we need to be able to talk over each other. And then I run everything. I've got the Sennheiser, whatever Steel series. I've got this, like, low latency Sony, and I do have the the sound bar thing, but it's just easier to stay locked in. So that's just my personal preference.
That would help me. I have the most terrible ADHD. So, like, there's a church out back, and the bells go off at 12 and 6. I'm mid sentence. I won't be able to tell you what I was thinking about because I'm singing along to the church bells.
Yeah, no, I actually have some here, and I don't have a Rodecaster like everybody else does, because when I started, like, early on last year when I started doing research on it, I this was like super early on when Rodecaster still was not the number one adopted, format for Web3 creators. So I have something called, I'm going to turn it on in a second so you guys can actually hear it. I have something called Moano.
Yep.
Moano?
That's the same one Prophets has.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. And it's like half the price or 1/3 of the price of a Rodecaster. And it's set up essentially the same. And I have the microphone that's like the same brand for anybody watching it. Like, I have the same brand of it. And that one, when I host my spaces, I completely do it with my headphones and the whole 9 yards. And for two reasons. Elimination of distractions. so that, you know, I have my headphones on and I'm 100% focused. And I have been able to detect echoes a lot quicker with my headphones than I have with my earpods. But also, if you notice, I only have one on, and that's because, see, what I don't show people, I have an earring here, and I cannot physically wear. Yeah, I can't wear it. So if you ever, like anybody watching this, if you've ever considered getting them and you want both, you won't be able to wear your AirPods all the time because this little thing here makes it hurt after 30 minutes. So I mostly always have it covered and I only have one. But that's the reason. But you know what? Interesting experiment. I am going to turn on my system so that you can hear the difference.
The difference, yeah. I would
Yeah.
love to hear.
I love that we all have like pretty cool setups too. I feel like we're just blessed with that with the Bitcoin Ordinals show, because it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like everybody comes on here just happens to have like experience, because I've interviewed a lot of people in Web3 over the last 2 years. The amount of people that's either not doxxed, or which is fine, you know, that's a big part of it, or so like they just come up with no camera at all, or like they're like speaking like out of their like just directly into their phone, or like even if they use their phone, but kind of like Chris said earlier, like they don't like maximize using their phone. It always cracks me up. I feel like the smarter the person, the like less likely they are to like care about how they appear on camera. But it's like almost frustrating if you're making the content, because you're like talking to like this like really bright mind, and they have their phone like this at like a weird angle, and you can't really hear them right, and you can only see like, you know. But I don't know, it's always so funny when I see that. I'm just like, this person's a genius, but they like literally do not care one bit to like present themselves.
Or they're walking around in the airport. Can you tell the difference?
Yes.
I'm fully connected now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can. Yeah. I mean, it's not like a huge difference, only because I heard you very recently compared to now, but it's wild.
Is that what you use when you run Spaces, Bill?
That is, yes. This is what I use when I'm on
I can
stage.
tell it's a slight more podcasty.
Yeah. It changes like just a slight bit. I want to say though, Chris, I watched some of your videos, actually a lot of the videos, when I first started turning on the camera and going from just audio to visual, because, you know, I come from a prior to Web3, like I never had a reason to turn on a camera or even speak in public with so many people on Spaces, right? This is totally new for me. I had a corporate job fully. Unless I was giving speeches in front of my team, I didn't have this kind of public, you know, speaking position. And turning on the camera and number one, like making yourself vulnerable, but also doing it in a visibly appealing way is so much harder than it sounds. Because, you know, anybody can say, just do it, just hit record, just go live. Yeah, okay, sure. But as a content creator or as a speaker, you know, as any kind of a public persona, you self-judge, first of all, and then others do as well, right? And you want to be on top of your game. And I was hosting Spaces for a long enough time to where I didn't have to worry about the visual aspect of it, because live spaces like this were not even available. And when they started to be so available and people started doing it, it's like, all right, well, if I don't jump on it, if I don't do that, then I'm behind on the game, right? Opportunity cost of it is pretty great. So here we go. Now I'm going to have to learn this. And it's nerve-wracking and it's really hard. And technically speaking, of like figuring out, all right, well, you know, the lighting and the background and the this and the that, it's so hard. So you actually on your website have a whole series of videos that talk specifically about like how to get started and tiny little tips and tricks, etc. I still don't understand that. And actually, I tried sending you a message and I couldn't get a hold of you. So I'm so glad that we are now connected. But your content is fantastic to help other creators. So kudos on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think I bit off a lot more than I could chew last year, I was like, all right, January 1st, video 1. I'm going to do 365 days of video content tips. I got like 130 days in, and that was brutal. It was gnarly. Like after 100 days, like you are wrecked on it. But I think I'm actually going to pick up at like day 131 this year and like give myself until what's that, like, I don't know, March or something. But yeah, that the whole idea, just to touch on a couple things that you said. Oh, and by the way, I don't think your mic is actually selected in this, so you can hear yourself, but I don't think we can hear any difference, just so you know. But I
Oh,
do think
see,
that
thanks.
the whole thing about how you look that's a you thing, right? And as a content creator, like, sure, if you feel bad, you're not going to be yourself. But being yourself on camera and not necessarily being hung up on how you look and sound, the unlock there is that if you're giving people value, if you're actually saying something that somebody can take and help and run out there, like I always say, people should look at the camera, and I'm looking at you guys because you're over there. But I do think that, like, if you're giving somebody something beneficial and you start off a video and you dive right into the thing that helps them, they're going to pay attention to that, right? But if you're talking about yourself, or you're worried about how you look, or you're worried about how you sound, you're worrying about the wrong person, because there's really only two people in the situation. It's the creator and the consumer. And the consumer is sitting there by themselves. So even if you address them as like, hey, everybody, I don't know, if I'm sitting in a room alone, somebody walks in the door and they say, hey, everybody, I don't think they're talking to me. I'm like, is there more people here? Usually it's just somebody staring at their phone. So like having that, just thinking about the other person and what they get out of it, that's always going to help your content 100%, because you're focused on the right person. So it's a shitty thing to say, but like, it's not about you. You know what I mean? So how you sound. Now I say that as a blanket statement to men and women. I tried to ask women for a year in Web3, like how can I give this statement, like, so that I'm being sensitive to the fact that women judge other women hardcore on their looks and their presentation, all that hardcore. And dudes are terrible on the internet, for sure. I get that. I just don't think that changes the rules. It's not different for anybody. You show up, you do your thing, you're valuable to somebody else. Maybe you're hot, maybe you're not, maybe you're buff, maybe you're fat. Like, it doesn't matter what the deal is. Maybe you have a speech impediment. Maybe that's a strength. Like, there's all these different things that it's actually not about you. So if you can show up and give, somebody something to take away, they're going to show up more and more and more. That's the way to grow. It's really hard to get over yourself, though, when you're starting to do content creation, because you are vulnerable. You are putting yourself out there. And I think you got to suck at it for a while. I really think you do. I think you got to come in there, try, but it's not good, but you keep trying and it's still not good. And you do that like 100 times. And then you start to see from your own experience, like, how you can make it better. So don't get me fired up on the whole content creation coaching side of things, because I won't shut up, but like, that's just a little bit about what I think about it.
I love it, man. Unfortunately, we do have to wrap. I do want to give you a shout out, though. I know you're focusing on growing different socials, but just so people know, you did grow a channel to over 106,000 subscribers on YouTube. I don't think people on Twitter that aren't familiar with YouTube realize how big of a deal that is. Like, it's substantially harder to grow on YouTube than it is Twitter, like substantially. I say that as somebody who, like, I have like almost 7K on YouTube and like 15K on Twitter. And I like tried half as hard on Twitter to get where I was. So that's huge. But I see you're also growing another channel that mainly focused on you, subscribe to you on, look how beautiful that was, on content creation, what you're just talking about. And you have obviously some great videos there, some resources that we were just talking about, requested 2 for X spaces and all that. And then you, of course, your website with Shredditor, and to just be able to, for all these like classes that Abel was referring to earlier as well. All that being said, I'm not going to quite conclude yet. Like, I want to give you a chance to respond. But we do, of course, appreciate you coming on. I appreciate that you're a ninja holder, man. That's so awesome. I agree with you. I think the brand needs to be you. I think there could still be like parts of these like NFTs that are ordinals that you really like incorporated in that brand. That's how I do it anyways. And so it's really cool to have you on board. You also unlock that like some people view it as like shilling. I personally don't. I think holders should be encouraged to put out content and have other people that are also holding that project like share it. Like I think it's a big like unlock in Web3 is if like you have a ninja, especially that ninja's included in the video in any sort of way. I feel like, you know, we should be interacting with that, but not just ninjas, like any project. I think that, you know, you immediately get fans almost, you know, from that. At least I'm a big fan of that. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. You're welcome literally anytime. Tuesdays, 6:30 Eastern time. I want to recap. I'm going to give you one last word. Somebody earlier said that a low-key wish they were here from the beginning. If you missed it, we looked at Quantum Cats. Quantum Cats flew today. We had 2 team captains. As always, Wooders and Charlie are regulars here. 1 team dead, 1 team alive. Looks like Team Alive is winning by like 0.001. Quantum Cats absolutely flew today. They went from 0.1 to like 0.27 earlier when we viewed them. I think they're down a little bit since the start of the show, but regardless, they are still ripping. So good to see that quick sellout and all that. On that note, the show is brought to you by Ninja Alerts, who gave away 30 Quantum Cat whitelist to holders, as well as just gave away an Apple Vision Pro in the Discord like 2 hours ago. Really cool. We got some other giveaways going on right now as we speak. We had special guest Chris today, who has been killing it in the Web3 content creation, been jumping into Bitcoin Ordinals, actually does a meetup in LA to where they run Bitcoin Ordinals, or shows around Bitcoin Ordinals weekly. So super cool to have you, Chris. Any final words before we conclude?
No, thanks for having me, man. I'm down to come back anytime. I love this stuff. You guys are all great. I appreciate that you're doing it and you're showing up and doing the live streams every week. It's awesome.
Heck yeah, man. Appreciate you being here. Anybody else? Wooders, Charlie, Bell, any last words?
Cool. Great. Always great to chat. Go Cats. Go Bitcoin Burials. Go everybody else. Go check out the Inscribing Atlantis Twitter. That's my alpha for the night.
That damn it.
Inscribing.
We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that
I
one.
wanted to say.
Heck yeah.
My shit.
Atlanta.
Sure, you're gonna see it, Wooders, sure.
I'm about to post about the show tomorrow that I'm hosting. I host, if you know, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have Mumbot, OG in the space.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Mumbot.
I love Mumbot. Have you met her in person?
Yeah.
God, you just want to put her in your pocket and just go about. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit my mic, but I got animated.
And then on Thursday on NFA, so far we always have an amazing, roster of people and topics. But so far we're going to be talking a lot about airdrops, and we also have
airdrop season.
Yeah, and we also have the CEO of Mochaverse joining us. So let's go.
Sore subject for me, but I will try to be there.
Hey, if I can go through Quantum Cats, you can go through Mochaverse.
No, I don't think I can. This is just a tough conversation, but we're going to conclude it at that. Also, I will see half of you at least at ETH Denver. Very much looking forward to that. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Check us out every Tuesday.